And today's how to build video is going to be for the third eye Gohma. At least that's what his name is specifically. So anyways, my name is Joe Saiyan if you're new here, and we typically do Dokkan battle and how to build and some Dragonball videos here on this channel. If that all sounds good to you, please go ahead and go grab a third eye so that you can be invincible until somebody kicks you in the back of the head 3 times so that you'll be stuck inside of an evil little tiny realm imprisonment for the next millennia, and the only thing you can do is watch YouTube. So hit that like and subscribe button, and let's just go ahead and get right into it. So, if you're new to the whole how to build thing, basically what I do is I go over the units breakdown, I go through their defense numbers, and then I go over build suggestions and roll tips. Now, I did want to kind of note one thing here, specifically for Gohma. He is the first in quite a few line of units of where I will be making the one-time exception of taking into consideration of temporary equipment. Now, what I mean by temporary equipment is that this unit has special equipment orbs, but they are only obtainable for a short period of time. Now, normally I refuse to take these into consideration because people will not be able to have access to this at a later date, unfortunately. But Gohma is a character that absolutely hinges on a certain amount of defense. And if you have lower dupe levels, you do really need to be careful. And I'm just basically trying to emphasize you need to grab the highest level possible. So if you did not play and acquire these orbs, which will be available on November 12th of 2025 at 5 p.m. PST, you will definitely need to get whatever's best or the closest to. So you will only be able to get these equipments between November 12th to November 27th. Once it hits November 28th, it is over and you are not able to obtain these anymore as the celebration will be over. Now, the only way to obtain these orbs is by doing select missions with him specifically. Now, I don't mean specifically missions with him, but I do mean missions that will be available during the celebration, which is clear a stage with 1 extreme AGL type unit, clear a stage 3 times with an AGL extreme type unit, 5 times with an extreme AGL type, clear at least 1 stage with a final trump card unit, clear 3 stages with a final trump card unit, clear 5 stages, and clear any stage with the successor, clear any stage 3 times with a successor, and then clear any stage 5 times with a successor. So they're very easy missions, and you'll probably do them without even really thinking about it, even if you do not get Gohma. So if you are playing, at least try to grab these missions when they do become available. If you do not get these equipments, and just try to get as close as possible. If I say a level 8 defense orb or attack orb, then try to get a level 7 attack or defense orb to equip to him. It'll be a very small difference, if one you could even notice, in all honesty. Now, with all of that being out of the way, once again, these are all only suggestions. So, thank you for watching. So let's just get over with this breakdown finally, after like frickin' 3 minutes into the video. 200% leader options are kind of all over the place, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not super happy with the options that he does have available to him. He's a little bit of a finicky unit, but I also feel like he's just waiting for a quote-unquote perfect leader, which I don't think is really going to happen right now. I think it'll probably happen during 11th anniversary or shortly after or into next year's. Legendary / LR yellow coin units typically have this problem of not always having a perfect partner. Though I will say the LR baby bros had a little bit of a difference there. They actually did have a perfect leader. But Gohma does not, and Pycon did not either. But anyways, I would probably straight up first and foremost go for Mini Forku here, the AGL Super... or not AGL, my apologies. The Tech Super Saiyan 4 Mini Daima Goku. Would probably be one of my first suggestions, and then of course the STR Baby. There's one thing I must note for STR Baby here. He thrives and lives off of Corroded Body and Mind specifically. Not having Corroded Body and Mind on the team on full attacking rotation does remove the ability to give him 30% crit and 30% damage reduction. So do be aware that if you do run him on Baby's team, Baby will probably end up being a floating-esque unit and probably will perform much less. Not much less per se, but definitely not at 100%. So just do keep that in mind if you decide to run Baby as a leader. Otherwise, he is 170 on Int Hit's team. He's 200% of course on Glorio's team. And that pretty much stops where my suggestions are, other than his own leader skill, of course. His own leader skill is Demonic Power or Terrifying Conquerors. Key plus 3 HP attack and defense of 200%. He is just a 200% leader, but I am kind of okay with 200%. I do think 200% is almost mandatory for a unit. If you go below and go into the 170 range, they need to be a really good bloody unit to make up for that lack of stats. Now his 12 key super is only raising allies defense by 20% for 2 turns. This does apply to him, by the way, so on additional supers he will get that as well, and support the allies, of course. Now on his 18 key super, he greatly raises attack for 1 turn and causes 8 AoEs, greatly lowering attack and defense of all enemies. This is actually a really good ability for a world tournament, of course. AoEs, you never know. Refer to Lotad over on Twitter. He's the #1 world tournament guy. He would probably be able to tell you if he's a good unit now, but I digress. Now, you're probably wondering, if he doesn't have any raise attack and defense in his 12 key and he only raises attack on his 18 key, that means he must be absolutely busted, right? Because only units, units that don't have that in their super attack tend to just have the most craziest passives. Let's go see if he does. Intro-wise, can only be activated if there's another Demonic Power or Terrifying Conqueror ally on the team upon the entry of his entry. He gets a 40% chance to evade attacks for 4 turns once. So essentially, you have 4 turns, 2 appearances, to take advantage of the 40% dodge. Now, he has key plus 5 attack and defense of 333%, chance of performing a critical hit and dodge chance, and damage reduction rate of 33%, and then he recovers 15% HP at the end of the turn. Now, before receiving 3 attacks in battle, damage reduction rate is 66%. Now, if you don't understand why that is 3 attacks, then please go watch Dragonball Diamond. When receiving an attack, defense 200%. After receiving an attack or evading an attack, key plus 5 attack plus 200%, and 70% chance of launching an additional super attack within the turn. Basically, what this means is he either needs to get hit with an AoE or he needs to be in slot 1 in order to benefit from this. At the start of each turn, attack and defense of 150%, and then high chance, 50% chance, of key plus 1 attack plus 100%. When the character is in the second attacker slot at the start of the turn, defense plus 333% for the rest of the fight. This only procs once, by the way. Now, there is quite a bit of information here. Let's go over his active as well. So he does have an active skill, which turns him into a giant form, Giant Gohma. This can be activated starting from the next turn after he receives or evades an attack 1 time. Link skills More Than Meets the Eye, Fear and Faith, Thirst for Conquest, Big Bad Bosses, Master of Magic, Fierce Battle, and Legendary Power. Not the most amazing links, but some decent ones. He is on some decent amount of categories, or at least some good categories. Probably not the most amazing link partners. He does have a pretty decent link partner with LR Rose if you can find a team for him, specifically around probably Battle of Fate or Accelerated Battle. Just keep in mind that you do want to have at least 3 other Extreme or Future Saga units with that Rose. What other options we got here? I guess Fat Janemba is an option, Tech Fat Janemba. Probably actually one of his best link partners. If you can transform the Fat Janemba and get him into that 80% dodge unit, then, he probably will be a nice little link battery for Gohma. But other than that, I mean, maybe if you can find a good placement on Baby's team for Omega, you could probably take advantage of him as a partner. Also being a nice little bit of extra defense for Gohma would be nice. Some other little bit of less big bad boss options would probably be the AGL, not AGL, but Tech Golden Frieza Gogeta unit. And that looks to be about it. He does not have a lot of perfect link partners, unfortunately, but I think we need to pay attention a little bit to his passive. All right, so the big takeaway here is this is his crutch, this 40% chance to dodge. With this 40% intro dodge chance, he does have a 73% chance to dodge. It's not an insane level of dodge chance, but it's not 80% and it's not 70% either, and it is only for 4 turns. This directly coincides with his before receiving 3 attacks in battle damage reduction rate of 66%. And yes, you do read that right. He does have 99% damage reduction until he gets hit 3 times in battle. Now, eventually when you lose your intro, you will get hit 3 times. You will. I'm sorry to say that. You're just going to have to go with the facts that at some point, Gohma is going to get hit 3 times. Short of you one-shotting phases and magically floating him off to like a higher turn point, he is just straight up going to get hit at some point. So if you do want to go the full dodge route, by all means, that's your entire choice, but it will happen one way or another. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that he does need to receive an attack to be able to do an additional super. And by that, I mean a 70% chance to do an additional super and get a huge damage increase. This increase of damage is literally the difference between you doing maybe like 20, 30 million damage and doing actually closer to around 40, 50, 60 plus million damage on your 18 key super. And it only goes up from there as he does get attack and defense of 150% per turn. Now, unfortunately, I am here to tell you, please don't attack the messenger, but he does only get that attack and defense of 150% on the rotations he is on. So you can't just float this guy off and he's going to get 150% while he's off rotation. No, I'm sorry. I wish it worked like that, but it does not. He needs to be on rotation. He needs to appear on rotation to get this stack. People will probably recognize this kind of thing if you remember LR STR Bulma, who has a damage reduction rate of 7% at the start of each turn. It doesn't say specifically that she has to be on rotation, but that is how it works in the coding. I have asked Proton about this and he has confirmed it. So he does need to be on rotation to receive this buff. And this 50% chance of key plus 1 attack plus 100% is a 50% chance to happen, but it will attempt to proc every single turn. So your damage can scale quite a bit differently if this procced every turn. So just do keep that in mind. And once again, with this second attacker slot thing right here, this is a permanent buff. It only happens one time, but it will stay on, essentially. The only way for this to actually be, well, activated is you have to be in... So if you end the turn with Gohma in slot 1, the next time he comes back around, he will be in slot 2. So if on turn 1 you have Gohma start off in turn 1 and you keep him there and you end the turn as him being in slot 1, on turn 3 when he returns, he will appear in the second slot, and that's how he will acquire this buff. So do keep that in mind. Otherwise, if you're lucky and you start the battle off in slot 2, that would be amazing, but very unlikely. Now, we do have one more thing to go over before we go into the defense numbers, and that's going to be over his giant form. So his giant form is pretty crazy. I will say it is pretty good. I don't know why the website is not... There it goes. Whoa, website broken. Website's a little busted there. But anyways, he does have a giant form, and some people are misguided in thinking that it's like stupidly broken. And I'm not going to say it's not good, but it's definitely not stupidly broken. Now, on the super attack for the giant form, he does massively raise attack and has a 70% chance of stunning. Very nice stun chance. I love that. Definitely a unique ability you could potentially take advantage of. His basic effect is just attack plus 333%, and then chance of performing critical hit plus 33%, and then receives an additional key plus 3 per key sphere obtained, and attacks are effective against all types. Now, the big thing here to note is that he has the active skill, which raises attack by 3,333% temporarily. Now, at first, I was like, this is insane. That's an absurdly crazy number. But when you really get down to the taxes of it and you really go and take a look at the numbers, it's actually not a lot. I mean, it is a lot. It is a lot. Please don't shoot me. But it's not that much. Because he's lost so much other stats. Like, he just has the 333 right here, and then he has his super attack gain. That's it. Nothing from his previous form in his base state will apply over from that, and it doesn't amount to enough. Essentially, what it means is that once you use his active in his giant form, what this will do is essentially give you a free 100 million attack. Now, don't get me wrong, that 100 million is a lot of damage. It is. It is quite a bit of damage. It's a huge amount of damage. But, you know, when we have, like, Mercenary Tau having the ability to do anywhere from 60 to 80 million on a super and then additional for 30 to 40, you know, you kind of understand that there are units that can do 100 million damage in a turn. So him just activating for the turn doesn't necessarily like impress me insanely, especially when he only has a 33% chance to critical attack. And I don't know how many times I have to go over this. I really don't know how many times I have to go over this. But attacks effective against all types is not the same as critical. A critical is a 0.6 higher percent increase on damage. It is ignoring defense. And with enemies that are causing you to have 60% damage reduction from them taking damage, you really do want crit, especially in today's types of battles and bosses and so forth. So having only a 33% chance or whatever's in your hidden potential to proc this really makes this not as impressive to me unless it was an auto crit. If it was an auto crit, I'd be completely ecstatic, but because it's not auto critting, it doesn't impress me as much. This dude is very, very dupe reliant. His stats are going to be dramatically different. Let's go over why his stats will be different. All right, so these defense numbers are going to be compliments of Blood Raven over on Twitter. So we're going to take these into consideration by going... We're probably not going to consider big bad bosses at all points of time, because you're not always going to have big bad bosses based on the team synergies. You could have it, you might not have it. It's not actually that insane of a difference. It really just depends on if you, you know, how many links you have going off with him. So with one Daima Mini Goku support, turn 1, when receiving an attack, essentially you're only at about 1.1 million defense. This is at 55%, mind you. And then once you super attack, you'll be at 1.4. So not very good numbers here. Very low numbers. With big bad bosses, that 1.1 goes up to 1.3. With the additional, it goes from 1.4 to 1.6 million defense. These are low numbers for defense. Absolutely low numbers for turn 1. So it's a good thing he has 99% damage reduction and 73% chance to dodge, because otherwise he would probably die from, well, potentially even normals, depending on the fight you're in. Now, taking that into consideration, if you go on to turn 3, all of a sudden things ramp up just a little bit. So at turn 3, when receiving attack, 2 million. So notice we went up from 1.1 to about 2 million. And then we go from 2 to about 2.1. We go on super from 2.4 to 2.6. With big bad bosses, 2.5 to 3 million. 2.7 to 3.2 million with Mini Goku support and big bad bosses activated on turn 3. So just from that alone, turn 3, you know, turn 3 from turn 1, we went from having at the best, aside from a triple super, you know, 1.6 million, maybe 1.7 at max, to all the way up to a 3.2. Basically, we actually doubled our defense almost. Now, it's not going to double every single turn. So turn 5 at max, you know, with triple super, when receiving an attack, big bad bosses, mini Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku support, turn 5, we're looking at about 3.7 upon supering and only 3 million defense when receiving an attack. Now, 3 million defense is important because you only have your intro for 4 turns. That's turn 1, 2, 3, and 4. This means on turn 5, you no longer have a 73% chance to dodge. You no longer have 99% damage reduction. So, because more than likely, at least on turn 5, it's more than likely you have been hit at least a total of 3 times between the turns. If you have not, then, well, congratulations for praying to RNGesus and him granting your prayers. But otherwise, you do need to be very aware if you've been hit 3 times or not, because on turn 5, you will not have that 73% chance to dodge anymore, which means more than likely you will not have that 99% damage reduction. So just be very aware where his defense numbers will be. I would say that you could potentially see higher numbers with equipment, up to maybe about a 3.5. I would say, yeah, roughly 3.5 to 4.2 in this exact scenario, if you are rocking the bronze and silver equipment for him. So do keep that in mind. Now let's go take a look at the rainbow numbers real quick, just to get a good idea. So as far as like a turn 1 state here, we went from like 1 million to a 1.5, 1.8, 1.7 to 2, 1.9 to 2.2. The numbers basically essentially went up about 400, 500k, which is about normal for rainbowing. And that's kind of why I do suggest that you do get the equipment, because the equipment does add up to be quite a big difference. The equipment will also increase this difference dramatically as well. And then going into the turn 3 portions here, you're looking at 3.5 to 4 million almost. So, I mean, dupes are mattering aggressively here. They matter a lot. Excuse my slurring. I'm talking a lot. But yeah, you really do want dupes. Every dupe will matter. Every amount of defense you pump into Gohma is going to matter. I don't normally pump defense orbs into units unless I absolutely feel like they need it. And in Gohma's case, he absolutely needs it, and it will matter quite a bit. And at Rainbow, with maximum possibility of turn 5, big bad bosses, mini Daima Goku support off rotation, you know, with the equipment, you could actually be well above what you're seeing on the screen right now, which is, without the equipment, 4.7 on your additional super, by the way. That could easily be in the 5 mil, and you could get up to 6 mil on a triple. Turn 7, you'll definitely be above these numbers too. So at that point, you know, Rainbow turn 7, you're pretty safe in general, but I wouldn't say you're 100% safe when you're only at 55% or 69%. Oh, 55% in one dupe, players, just please be very aware of how many times you've been hit, and pay attention to how much defense you have, and just be careful. Because although, yes, he is very good, once you lose that 99% damage reduction, he will be kind of squishy. So just be very careful. He'll be fine on normals, but super attacks can potentially kill. He only has 33% damage reduction after all. After he loses, or after he gets hit 3 times. So. Now, with all that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and go on to the build suggestions. I had a really difficult time with him as far as build suggestions went, because this is a unit that absolutely requires almost everything. And it feels weird to say that, because there is a lot of units in the game that typically just need like maybe 1 or 2 different skills to really make up or to complement their entire kit. But with Gohma almost wants everything. He wants additionals to continually supporting the team off rotation and increasing his defense on turn. He wants dodge so that he can try his best to pray to RNGesus that he doesn't get hit 3 times so he can keep that 99% damage reduction. He wants additionals. He wants crit because of how high his damage will get to. I mean, the damage he can get to can easily be in the 80s to 100 million damage. And we're not even talking about Festival of Battle here. Like, Festival of Battle, he's going to break this game. Almost break this game. So, not having crit on him, especially for long-form content like Festival of Battle, is just such a downer. Because you could just... the difference is staggering. How much damage you could do extra. Or how much more you could support your allies, or increase your own defense, or just keep that... There's just so much. And it's honestly really infuriating that he wants dodge, he wants additional, he wants crit. Everything can benefit this guy in one way or another. So, my suggestions moving forward are going to be very complex, and it's going to be entirely up to the player and what they choose to do with them. And I apologize that I can't pander to every single person on this guy, because this unit is just that diverse. Now, at 55%, you probably have the least amount of control, and I apologize that you don't have any control here. But at 55%, you really do just need to equip the special equipment orbs that you can get through the missions during November. I would highly suggest you just equip the bronze level 8 orb and a level 2 additional orb along with the defense orb. The additional orb specifically because it's just adding on to the level 5 he already has, turning his 10% chance to additional into a 14% chance. It's not much, but you know, it's something. And I trust that a little bit more than the only level 4 dodge. But that's just me personally. Entirely up to you. What's important is that you have the defense orbs. Now, if you're somebody that wasn't here in November, just equip a level 7 or the highest level bronze defense orb that you can. And if you don't have a defense silver orb of any variant, then I would just highly suggest you pump in a level 5 additional onto him to increase more of your additional chance. Now, moving on to his 69% build. 69%, you really just kind of need to really choose. You really need to pick and choose what you want to aim with. I would suggest you aim for either crit or dodge as the main focus. For a majority of players, this is going to be what most people are going to end up doing. You're either going to go full crit because you know this guy's going to do absurd amounts of damage but at some point, or you're going to go full dodge because you want to keep that 99% damage reduction for as long as entirely possible. You never know what RNGesus will say to you. But at the end of the day, additional is probably the least amount that most people will focus on, as he already has a 70% chance to additional in his kit. With one dupe in the bottom right hand corner path, you should put one of the nodes into additional, and then the last 3 into either crit or dodge. This will give you a level 9 crit or dodge. What will change based on this is if you choose to go with the level 4 silver equip and you chose dodge, this can pump your dodge up to a level 13. Or if you went with the crit orb specifically, then you would only go up to 11. But remember, a level 11 crit is a 22% chance to crit, whereas a level 13 dodge is just a level 13% chance to dodge. So do keep that in mind when you are deciding if you have only one dupe. But yeah. Now you can go additional into this. That is entirely your prerogative. If you did go into the additional route, what would end up happening is you'd be at about a level, I believe, let's see, you can apply 9 naturally. So 9 plus 5 would be 14. And if you use the defense equip here, you would be at level 16 additional, which is a 32% chance to additional. Or if you just equipped a level 5, you would be up to a 19, which would be a 36% chance or a 38% chance to additional. Can't remember which. I can't math right now. It's midnight and I should be in bed. But anyways. Now, I have 3 2 dupe and above builds. The second dupe should always be the top left-hand corner, by the way. I have so many different builds for his final build. It's 2 dupes and above is what we're moving forward with here. You either continue based off of the 1 dupe suggestion I have and continue on with crit or dodge, and you'll pump the last node into additional, which would give you a 22% chance to additional in total. And then still keep the bronze level 8 and then either put in mixtures of crit and dodge or focus up on level 5's, level 5 crit or level 5 dodge so that you can get an extra 10%, extra level 10 chance in the dodge or crit area. Now remember, a 25 crit is a 50% chance to crit, but a 25 dodge is just a 25% chance to dodge. So just keep that in mind. Now, that's kind of more the generic build that majority of people are going to choose. This next build is more for people that don't necessarily care too much for this and just are going to assume the only amount of damage you're really going to do is on his active with his giant form, or you're just going to go off of the 33 and hope for the best. And you really want to just use him as more of a supportive kind of tank unit. With the additional focus, you're getting the highest possible chance to additional, getting those extra off-rotational support for the team and increasing his defense on the turn, of course, and going for a more raw defensive build there. I would suggest you just have a level 5 additional silver and level 5 additional gold to pump that up as much as possible. And just once again, choose crit or dodge as your extra focus. Majority of people that choose this build will probably go for the dodge for a more defensive Gohma rather than damage dealing. This last one is going to be more for Festival of Battle, and I try to put it right here, right above my little head in the corner here. This is more of a Festival of Battle build, because in Festival of Battle, you're going to get to turn like 60 plus. And with turn 60 plus, your damage is going to be out the butt. And I do mean out the butt completely. And at that point, you might as well just throw on an attack orb, throw on a level 5 silver crit and a level 5 gold crit orb to pump your crit chance all the way up to 25 from a natural level 15 and be a 50% chance to crit. On top of the 33 that you have already in your passive, you would have a very reliable chance to be critting at that point. Putting the rest of your nodes into additional, still being at level 11, that small chance to get a triple super would probably be crazy. So this is a Festival of Battle kind of build specifically. I once again have to apologize that I don't have a very specific build for y'all. Gohma is just that dude. He can benefit from any one of potentially all of these builds, and it is actually crazy to me how much this guy is just built how he is, that he can benefit from any build point. Now, moving on to the final point of the video is going to be the role tips. He doesn't really have a role. He is simultaneously a supporter with the defense by 20% for 2 turns for all allies, lowering enemies' attack and defense, AoEing. He is not a defensive unit because he's only rock solid defense in the beginning with that 99% damage reduction, but eventually he's going to get hit. So until he stacks up enough, he won't necessarily be tanky, but he will still be very reliable. At a certain point, he just has so much defense that it doesn't matter anymore, but that's unlikely to happen in short or even mid-level content. Basically, turn 5 and 6 fights, you'll probably be done, and hopefully you'll kill with him or the rotation. Anything past turns 5 or 6, maybe even 7, you're really in that middle ground area where you need more defense, and you're just kind of like walking a tight wire and hoping that he gets enough defense eventually and can survive certain fights. But he's also doing a crap ton of damage as well, with potentially having insane levels of up to 80 to 100 million damage even, depending on how many turns have passed. And the critical would just help to go a long way as far as damage dealing at that point. So he really does just do everything. He is pretty crazy. but any build almost helps him out. Leader-wise, Hit and Glorio and himself are all 200%. Actually, Hit is only a 170, but Glorio and himself are 200% options. Pretty solid teams there. Glorio, especially with his off-rotational support. Mini Goku and Baby are the best 220% options I can suggest at the time of recording. And then the little 220 Battle of Fate Frieza there in the corner if you're desperate. Partner-wise, he really does just need either a slot 1 unit or a unit that can flip-flop back and forth with him, because eventually he's not a slot 1 unit, he ends up being slot 2 because his defense will be too low. And then eventually he can go back in it, but the point is he wants a unit that can flip-flop back and forth with him. LR Rose is a perfect candidate for that, probably with Baby Team. Same thing with Omega, who also can be on the Baby Team to be a nice slot for him. Manga Frieza, oddly enough, is a very amazing unit to be running with him. Nice 80% dodge unit alongside him, and crazy increase on damages. And then there is the Tech Janemba. Once you get that Tech Janemba transformed, he actually is technically Gohma's best link partner and slot positioning partner. It's very weird, but he is technically his best link partner with having Big Bad Bosses, Master of Magic, More Than Meets the Eye, and Fierce Battle all at once. You can get a mixture of these with other characters, but it still will not be as much as it would be with Baby, I believe. I think actually Rose is his next best link partner, purely because they're both LRs. So he actually has 60% attack support right here. And Janemba has 70% attack support, so Janemba is still the better link partner, technically. As far as links go, anyways. Technically, Rose, you know, with his super attack support, definitely is technically the better one. But anyway. Best slot position goes is he's definitely a slot 1 unit through and through, no matter what. The only time you really do want to take into consideration of moving him to a slot 2 position is when you lose the 66% damage reduction after getting hit 3 times. At that point, you do need to be very careful and hopefully stack enough to the point of where maybe he can be thrown into slot 1 again, but more than likely you just need to be very highly aware of what's coming in slot 1. I'd say post-super he'll be fine for a decent amount of fights, but more of some recent fights you do need to be careful. In some instances, slot 1 could be very dangerous for him. It might just be better to be safer and throw him into slot 2 after he's lost this damage reduction. So, but anyways, I think that's going to be it for the video. It was a pretty long one. Gohma is pretty difficult. I did have to record this ahead of time because as of right now, his release date is going to be specifically on November 12th at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is the reset login time. And ironically, the exact time that I get off work. So I'm choosing to record this ahead of time. So anyways, thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you have the best of luck on your summons. Let me know how you decided to build him. Did you go for a dodge route? Did you go for the crit route? Did you go for the additional route? There's just so many ways to build this guy. Me, personally, I'm tired of Festival of Battle. I might go the crit route just so I can waffle stomp that freaking stage. But anyways, guys, let me know what teams you use also, and thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day and a good night.